Imagine a world where small acts of kindness create a ripple effect of support. A world where financial struggles never stand in the way of hope. That's the vision behind Community Pay It Forward. After a life changing motorcycle accident, I saw firsthand the devastating impact unexpected financial hardships can have on families. That's why I started Community Pay It Forward, to ensure that no one faces these challenges alone. Community Pay It Forward is more than just a single program. Through community impact and pACT podcasting, people all coming together, we amplify the voices of those making a difference. And with Community Dare to Care, we provide essential goods like clothing, food, and school supplies to those who need it most, to the community, from the community, for the betterment of the community. With Community Pay It Forward, we support families, children, veterans, community projects, no matter where they are. We are not just providing assistance, but hope for a brighter future, not just for people in need, but for businesses that are out there struggling, trying to find a way. We have a plan, but we need your help to reach the next level. We're launching a crowdfunding campaign to raise $500,000. This will allow us to market the Community Pay It Forward program more effectively and to acquire a vehicle for delivering essential goods to families in need in our community, and enhance and strengthen our programs to serve even more people. And as a thank you for your generosity, we're offering special incentives for your contribution. As we tell people all the time, your donation, big or small, will help. It'll create lasting impact on our community. Join us in building a future where generosity and compassion lead the way. Visit our website today, communitypayitforward.us, or scan the QR code above and donate today. Together, we can pay it forward, because no one needs to go it alone when we all come together. Does this sound like your life? Scattered, jumping between tasks but never finishing. Saying yes when you want to say no. Avoiding hard conversations and holding it all in. It's time to stop overcomplicating life and turning it into your advantage. Experience T Now, a monthly membership designed to help parents, professionals, and dreamers like you conquer self-sabotage and thrive. Save your spot today. Get early access, a special gift, and start transforming your life. Because no one needs to go it alone when we all come together. morning to you. My name is Zak Clayton, Community Pay It Forward, Community Dare to Care, and the pACT channels. And wow, I am lagging terribly. So I apologize for this. I hope that it is playing a little bit better on your screen than it is playing on mine. Um, we're going to be joined today by a really good friend of mine, Mr. Joel White from Rewired for Men. Man, I hope that your screen's not lagging as much as mine is. But we are going to be joined by Joel White for Rewired for Men in just a couple minutes. As you will hear, it's been a very difficult weekend for myself. I did learn of a passing late last week that we've been dealing with. But I did want to let you all know that as you just heard a couple minutes ago, we are trying to raise money for the program, trying to advance the program, trying to get the program up and running, and we could use your help. So please, if you would like to be part of what we are doing, if you would like to take and become a producer of the program, of the pACT channel, whatever you can do, this QR code can make you a huge part of the program. And I may have figured out what one of the problems is. So let me see if I can do this here. That's not right. Well, that ain't right either. So, but anyway, well, I guess I can't do it. So what I'm going to do while we're trying to get this fixed is I'm going to go on ahead and play this video with Joel, and then when we get back, hopefully I can close it out properly, and we can go from there. But this is our monthly addition to the Rewired for Men program with Mr. Joel White. Uh, please have fun watching this. If you have any questions, please make sure that you comment, give us a like, give us a share, and share the word, because we need to make a difference. Look, there are men out there who are struggling, so if you know one, let's make sure that we're doing our best for them. Hey there, everyone. It's Zak Clayton, Community Pay It Forward, Community Dare to Care, and the pACT channels. We are here today for for Footprints Forward, and I will be bringing on my great friend Joel White with Rewired for Men here real quickly. I did just want to say a very special thank you to a friend that unfortunately we lost last week due to family wishes. I'm not going to say his name, but he is he's been someone that we've been working with for about a year and a half now in the Community Pay It Forward program. This gentleman focused on your brain, and a lot of studies about the brain and how the brain works, and teaching people how to, come at learning in a different way. Very, very wonderful, wonderful man. Unfortunately, Alzheimer's started to creep into his day-to-day life. And being a guy who deals with the brain all the time, he understood what he was going to be dealing with. And he chose not to put his family through this, and he chose not to live his life in that way. And so, unfortunately, he took his life last week. And I got to be very, very careful here because I don't want to say too much. But I'm going to go on ahead and bring on Joel now because we do want to talk about this. My great friend Joel White with Rewired from Joel. How are you doing today, brother?
I'm all right, sir. It was just I was reflecting on what you spoke there. It's difficult for everyone when something happens like that. And as we've spoken many times before, that's why I do what I do, working predominantly with men, particularly men over 30, because the stats in the US are probably similar to what they are in the UK. We're 3.5 more times likely to take our own life,
Yeah, yeah,
and likely to end up homeless, taking substances. And particularly in the UK, society says that the joke midlife crisis for men is 40 to 45, but unfortunately, the data shows it's the greatest percentage of when men do actually take their own life as a man. It's sad facts, really. Kind of a little bit what you said as well. There seems to be more pressure. The men who do tend to take their own lives aren't necessarily the stereotype what people have of homeless people who take their own lives. There's been a lot more people who see themselves as successful, middle class, whatever phrase you want to call it. They seem to be most of the individuals who do that from that degree. Yeah.
yeah. And here's a little bit of foreshadowing to what we're going to be talking about a little bit later on. But we as men seem to be able to rationalize our decisions when it comes to something like this. And even if it's not the completely mistaken thought that, look, life is just going to be better without me, which is just a terrible, terrible thing to say and think, because no, nobody's life is better without you. That's just the way it is. But we we seem to be able to, in our own minds, rationalize things to where we can convince ourselves, and we've talked about this many times before,
Yeah.
we can convince ourselves that even bad choices are the correct choices,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And, it's this has become more and more obvious the more I work with men compared to women. And what I mean by that is, men very much structure and perspective, kind of what you're talking about there, logic, reason, and reflection. They're very much ingredients of how we operate in the world that we operate in. And that's great if a man is in a emotionally balanced state. When they're not in an emotionally balanced state, i.e., they're deregulated or anxious, whatever, they, similar to what you said there, they kind of bend the reality of what they see to fit their own into
Yeah.
that machine of logic, reason, and reflection. And it's I'm always fascinated and curious perspective around individuals who take their own life or who have attempted to do that. To just kind of get a bit of insight really into that whole thing. It very much in those final moments, whatever you want to call it, it very much does come down to logic and reflection. It's not emotionally generated thinking. It literally is very logical steps. Which is really interesting from that degree to in how men look at things. But if anything, what you said, and I said to a lot of people, and this is no disrespect based on what we're talking about here and the other people I've worked with in the past. There's something like taking your own life is a permanent solution to temporary problems. Some of those problems may be really difficult. We talked a little bit about this before, but it is there is no going back when you take your own life. That's it.
Yeah, yeah,
it is a permanent solution. And obviously, I don't know what's been going on in the US, but it keeps coming around in the UK. This whole thing around not necessarily about taking your own life, but how that links into euthanasia. The medical condition practice, and there's always been that fine line in the UK. Is it more towards if the law allowed it would be euthanasia, i.e., assisted death, or is it actually taking their own life. Does that make sense? There's so many facets within that decision-making process. What goes on after that individual has done whatever they've done. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Joel, I think, and this is actually something I just thought of when you were talking. Okay. So you and I haven't had a lot of chance. There's a lot of speculation. Okay. There was a huge concert that happened about a week ago. Okay. You over in, across the pond should be very aware of this. It was the farewell concert of Black Sabbath. It
Yeah.
was a it
Yes.
was a huge concert to Ozzy Osbourne for
Yes.
Ozzy Osbourne, and there was a lot of talk about the end of life of Ozzy Osbourne. Okay,
Yes.
we're not saying that Ozzy Osbourne is dead. Okay, please don't misconstrue what I'm saying, but Ozzy and his wife Sharon do have a in place a suicide pact, and as soon as the concert was over, they started to head towards that country that they have that suicide pact. So there's a lot of speculation. Was Ozzy saying goodbye to everybody? Is this what's going on?
Yeah.
You know, um, as a metal fan, okay, and I've never been the largest Ozzy Osbourne fan in my life. I've never been that guy. I respect the hell out of the man. I
Yeah.
respect the hell out of everything he's ever done. His music has influenced me. His music has spoken to me before. But you know, a time like this would be just one of those that he's going through a lot of medical issues. You just
Yeah.
look at the man and you feel pain. You feel pain for him. But this is the kind of time when it would really be nice to be able to walk up to him, stand up to him, and say, please don't let go yet. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. We want to make sure that you're still here, because who's to say that we don't come up with the miraculous cure for everything in 2 days from now? So, we really want to make sure that people are still around, and we've really got to open up and try to, I guess, give hope for people. And the words give hope are to me, they're a little difficult. I don't, it doesn't sound proper to me, but rebuild hope, I guess, is a better way for me to put it. So I don't know what happened to Joel. I think he went chasing after a cat or something. So well, I saw his chair move. So either he sat, or he's still there, or there's a ghost there. But yeah, I just want to say from all of my heart, first off, to my friend, I will dearly, dearly, dearly miss you. I will deeply miss our conversations. Um, and I do wish you the best, and to your family, to your friends. I love you all, and please know that we're here. To Ozzy, say somehow you get to watch this. Thank you for everything that you've done, but don't give up yet, man. Don't give up. There's still life to come. And nobody said life was going to be easy, right?
No, and apologies, Daniel, for speaking about family. I had to just do a side issue with my son that's come up. So it's kind
Ah,
of coming at that point. So yeah, family comes up when you don't expect it to. So
yeah, it's kind of like my dog right there. Well, my dog doesn't compare to your son. Don't.
still your family. It's still
Yeah,
family.
he's still a pain in the butt. That is true.
It's still, like I said, it's a really difficult one. You can never understand what somebody's going through unless you're going through it yourself. But even then, you'll never understand it because
Right.
everyone's different from one person to the next. And like I said, I'm not here saying, you know, taking your own life is wrong, and I'm not here to say taking your own life is right either. It's there's so many factors that come into play for why people make decisions that they make. You know what I mean? It's and for me personally, I mentioned in the past, I've attempted to take my life on two occasions, and again, there were so many factors, within that, around that degree, that led to me getting there in the first place, and led to me why I didn't follow through on that coming out the other side. But they weren't focused around, obviously, a bit what touching on here, you said about Ozzy Osbourne and the person you were referring to before. There wasn't anything going on about a deliberating health condition. Those are completely different aspects for what an individual has to obviously manage and deal with and take into account. And, again, kind of related to this question, directly, indirectly, and again, this is hence what's come up in a lot in the UK in Parliament about this assisted dying, that yes, there has been advancements in healthcare, but is it actually giving that person a quality of life? Does that make sense? That some people they've got quite deliberating conditions, and if you really ask them, they actually just want to die, but because of the nature of the health service, it kind of keeps them alive. But who is it keeping it alive? Who is it keeping them alive for? If they're keeping them alive for a person who by this point has no quality of life, or is it they're keeping them alive because they can pat themselves on the back and say they're doing really well in the health? I don't know. You know what I mean? But it's a really interesting. It's a really interesting thing that plays out. Does that make sense?
Yeah, my thing is what, we rent this meat bag we live in for only a certain amount of time. It's going to expire, and I don't think that, I wish we would really, and I completely understand. And this is another point I wanted to make with this. Look, there's a huge misconception that a lot of people don't know, Joel, that suicide is not more prevalent in your late teens to early 20s. That's not when it's most prevalent. It's most prevalent from 60 up. And that's because that's when the body starts to break down. That's when pains happen every day of your life, which scares the holy heck out of me, because I wake up every damn day in pain,
Yeah.
because of the motorcycle accident, because I've treated my body like a punching bag. It's, my entire life. But suicide happens when you get older more than it does in any other time of your life. When I first learned that, I was like, this study's full of it, because it happens most in between 18 and 30. No, 60 and up are when the numbers are the highest. 60 and up. When you hit 80, the number is astonishingly high that people take their own life.
Sure, it comes back to what we were saying before, that in reality, people are living longer, but at what extent to their quality of life of living longer? From the perspective of that long life, is it due to the fact they have looked after their health and like eating olive oil or whatever it is to stay fit, or is it because of more medical intervention that's leading to that long life? Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. But you also have to take into account that, what, at that age, you've probably lost at least one of your soulmates, if not multiple, soulmates throughout that time.
Absolutely.
You may have outlived some of your children. You may have outlived all of your friends and all your buddies and everything that you've done in the past. All those things that you've done in your past that were so important to you are now, you're not able to do them. And so there's a lot of things that go into this. I don't want to just say it's all health, but I mean, it's so sad that and I think that this is one of the reasons why we really need to take and we need to focus on people even when they are sick. We need to make sure that we're there for them. Okay, we need to make sure that we can still take them out and take them to go do things. Don't go and visit them once a week and say, yeah, everything's okay. Pat them on the head. No, take them and do things. Show them that there's actually life still in them. Because like I said, we only rent this thing it expires after a while,
Yeah,
and we don't want to rush that.
for sure. And there's something else you said in there which is really interesting. Age 60 and above, again, is become more of a danger period for men because men, again, that difference between men and women. Men and women deal with adversity in different ways, but one area where women do cope better than men is in retirement. Women seem to find it easier to adapt to retirement than what men do because
Hmm.
men very much a logic, reason, practical routine, but also there's a lot of that pressure in society to be the man of the house, to work, to earn, to taking the bread, blah, blah, blah. And men are very good at throwing themselves into their work in a way to ignore or drown out the issues within their relationships and in the home environment. And
Yep.
that's great. But when you retire, that routine, that purpose, that avoidance strategy, which is where a lot of men disappears. There is nothing, and that can be really difficult for men to make that transition again, which is another interesting thing in the situation of um, death, i.e., death of a partner. Women tend to find it easier to adapt when their husband dies than a man does when his wife dies. It actually, again, it's harder for men to come to terms with it, to work through that, to manage that. And again, it's not saying men are. I'm not saying men are weaker or women are better. A lot of it is just how we are shaped by society.
Yeah.
That very much women are more of a perspective of being emotionally intuitive, tuning with the gut. They're more willing to engage with their peer group around emotional based conversations, where obviously men logic, reason, reflection and are less likely to engage in their peer group or the general peer group around support from that degree. So again, it's quite interesting to see, which again moves into going all the way back around to start the conversation around taking your own life, suicide, whatever word you want to call it. That what tends to happen as well, and again the influence of pressure on men, that women tend to be a bit more open in their concerns around suicidal ideation or they're going to do something. So they tend to get more support earlier on when they're in crisis. And women tend to go for the more internal methods, as it were, of attempting. So that is usually overdosing or cutting the wrists. They tend to be quite internal, whereas men tend to be very external in that expression of emotion and attempt. So they usually follow through on the first strike, whereas women it might take them a while, and that rate of actually dying takes longer. It's an overdose or whatever it is. Whereas men's are usually follow through and succeed on the first attempt, and they usually pretty damn sure tend to be quite full on, i.e., hanging, jumping off buildings, stepping in front of the car. It tends to be pretty full force, if that makes sense. And again, I'm pleased when people listen to it, don't think that I'm an expert on this and I'm pretending that I am or not. I'm just kind of getting some ideas out there because if anything, what we don't talk enough about over here, Zach, is around these topics. You know what I mean? They are, although they might not be easy conversations to have, they're important to have them because I feel the more you normalise around this, the more people are willing to talk about and perhaps come forward and share their experiences, and more likely the ones who are also struggling as well from that degree.
I would really be interested to maybe take and team up with a group of women and find out if maybe it has something to do with women can compart. If a woman can take and if it's easier for them to find something to do with their mind, and that's the reason why like retirement is easier than they, for because I know when I was faced with like retiring at a very, very young age because of the motorcycle accident, I panicked. I absolutely panicked. I freaked out. I knew being alone with nothing to do with
Yeah.
only my thoughts was only going to be terrible for me. I knew that my life was going to be miserable if I didn't find something to do. And that's exactly what I thought. I knew my life was going to be miserable if I
Yeah.
didn't find something to do. That's what my mind went to.
Yeah.
So I would love to know what a female in that situation would think. Would she see it as, this gives me an opportunity to do something I've always wanted to do, rather than, oh my God, this is just tragic, you know?
Yeah, but again, it goes back to what we're saying. A man's brain is very much logic, reason, reflection. A woman is more geared towards emotional intuitiveness, less in the head from that perspective. And obviously, there's the times are changing, but there's still a lot of those hence why I do what I do. There is a lot of them unhelpful, unconscious beliefs that men have, which are very much logic, reason that I am only successful if I do A, B, and C. I must be the man of the house, and to do that, I've got to do one, two, and three. I must still be the breadwinner of the family if I do A, B, and C. And all that then links into how a man sees success. And a lot of, again, from a UK perspective, success is all very much external. If I have this job, and if I have this house, and if I have this my bank balance, and if I have this cat, this dog, and all the rest of it,
Yeah.
and if I look a certain way, then I am successful. But as we know, if one of them drops, like you in your case, you had a bike accident that impacted on your work, does that mean now that you're not successful? Does that make sense? And if I'm not successful, then I am blah, 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 which usually equals in shame, depression, and guilt, because I'm not being, in brackets, a real man. And it kind of gets into a real horrible spiral. And that's, again, a lot of how a man, I guess, a man's natural brain is wired, but also the influence of those unconscious beliefs, that go into it. I think all that mashes to. It's the classic one. Is it the chicken? Is it the chicken or is it the egg? But at the end of the day, it's both of them. And this is the scenario of where we now find ourselves, really, from that way. Because if anything, it's that thing, purpose, isn't it? It's what's your why. Why do you get out of bed in the morning? If your why is get out of bed to be successful, which is determined by your work and all the rest of it, and when you retire, you have an accident, you've lost your why, your purpose, then what's the point of living? Whereas for a woman, perhaps their why is not necessarily tied directly to their bank account, the job, and all the rest of it. And if anything, it's that subtlety which has come more in discussion. And again, when you speak to people why they go to that point of wanting to take their own lives, that there is that thing around purpose. They don't say, I don't feel successful. What they actually say is, I don't feel worthy. And what's really interesting, success and worthy are actually two completely different things. Success is that external thing of, if I've got A, B, and C, that equals success. Whereas what actually matters more is that worth, which is actually an internal point of reference. Am I worthy as an individual? Do I have self-worth, self-care, blah, 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 whatever. But self-worth is, do you actually see yourself worthy enough of whatever, worthy enough of success? So that self-worth is a whole different ball game based on how you see yourself in your own skin and the world around you. You know what I mean? If you have a job and great, blah, 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 then you still got self-worth. But if you lose a job and whatever, you still have that self-worth because it's your personal choice of an internal compass, isn't it? An internal reality
Yeah.
that that only you create. But unfortunately for a lot of men, they start to lose sight of that at 5, 7 years old, where they're told to man up, don't be selfish, look outside of yourself, equals success. When really it should actually be, well, actually, start on the inside first. Sort that out first,
Right.
and then everything
Oh,
else would
I,
work out
I,
more better.
I hate that term, man up. Oh, I hate that term. It that's one of those terms that just. But
Yeah,
this actually brings in one of the you found a really cool networking group that you've been going to, and what you were just saying, that the way that I just portrayed what I went through after the motorcycle accident, it could have had a lot to do with I was the breadwinner and all of a sudden I'm not.
Yeah.
You know, there was a just a cataclysmic change to where, 80 hours. I'm working 80 hours a week every week. I'm working, 14, 15 hours a day every day, every day. So all of a sudden, I'm not. My self-worth was gone.
Yeah.
Not only that, but hearing that I wasn't eligible for food, to get help with food around the house because I made too much money last year. That just, it's like, oh my God. So I worked myself into issues. There was so much stuff thrown at me as a man, and none of it was positive. Everything I saw, where again, a lady may see it as an opportunity to do something, I saw it as, oh my God, danger, 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 when women can see it in a different way.
Yeah. And potentially, we're not saying women do, because I'm guessing obviously some women would struggle with
Oh yeah, not
that's just,
look. Not every man's going to see it as, oh, woe is me, woe is me, woe is
no,
me.
no, not at all. But then we go into that, how the man's logical brain works, and what you made reference to there. What I do is, I empower men in business, usually around the age of 30. First, I'll become aware of those unconscious beliefs that are holding them back. And they do tend to come from three areas: that, money, work, relationships. I've noticed over the shows that we find ourselves surprise talking about these three areas because they have massive impacts on men and how they conduct their lives. And then, what I do is I empower those men to rewire those unconscious beliefs at the root cause without the emotional story in 30 days or less. So, that's a bit of a plug about me. But I guess where I'm going with this, of the three areas, what seems more and more apparent where more issues lie for men are in relationships. And those relationships are either it's friends, partner, children, whatever it is. Those are all types of relationships. And what I've been doing, which I love to do, is love to meet people, love to build relationships with them. I love to get to know people more than anything else. And one of that reasons has been seeing me getting more involved with something that is a global networking group, movement, whatever phrase you want to call it, called Global Woman, Global Man. The Global Man is a new sort of addition side to Global Woman. And I was at their summit. They do a Global Woman, Global Man summit. Usually takes place in London. I was there about 3 weeks ago. And it was just a massive eye opener just to speak to so many men and women who were generally above 30 years old. They were all successful in regards to however they want to see themselves. But the same theme in all the conversations came up all the time, which was all around relationships. And the interesting conversation, which kind of pinned it all together for me, and we had a chat about this before, was having a chat with one of the ladies who was a keynote speaker at that event, and she'd just been to a previous event where she was a keynote speaker on stage on like a panel thing. And whether she asked this question or somebody next to asked this question, the question was, what makes a successful woman? And someone from the audience put a hand up and said this or shouted it out. And this lady from the audience, they said a divorce. And it was really interesting to kind of get understanding what that was meant by that, and to break into it. And the whole thing, where it focused around relationships. And again, this fits into a theme of the conversation we've been talking around on purpose, that a lot of men are obviously conditioned unconsciously or consciously with some of these unconscious beliefs that are perhaps not always that helpful around, you must be the man of the house, you must be the breadwinner. And what we find now, roles are changing now in society. And this is not saying it's a good thing or a bad thing. It's the reality of what it is. Everyone's got different views around it. But the roles within society are changing, particularly around work and relationships, where you may find yourself, if you are a man, in a relationship where perhaps you're not the breadwinner in the household anymore. The woman is, or the woman is more successful than you, or whatever that might be. And some men, I find it very difficult to adapt to that difference. That either they are not the breadwinner anymore, so what's their role in that relationship? It lacks purpose, or the woman is more than they, or they're not working because they've had an accident or whatever it might be. And a lot of men find it very difficult to adjust to that. And that can lead to further breakdown in their relationship that they have. They may become more emotionally cut off. They may actually start to feel themselves in competition with the woman because they feel threatened by the woman. Or what has also can come up for a lot of men is that very much as men are hardwired, that their idea of a relationship they are shown is, I must be breadwinner. So what that means is I bring in the cash, I do the practical stuff around the house, and my job is done. And I'll sit down. When really, perhaps what a woman is looking at things with is, well, actually, I could do a bit of emotional support. Yeah, I could do with that hug, or I could do with that, like, are you okay? Or how's your day been at work? Or whatever it might be. I'm not dishing men here, and I'm certainly not saying men have got to be emancipated down, because, again, there's an element of society where, if we're not careful, men are going to get stepped on more than what they already are. And to something that's called toxic femininity, it's almost to something generally we run the risk if we're not careful going too far the other way. Yes, there was back in time toxic masculinity and very much a lot of unfair stuff was going on toward women and how they were in the workplace and society and all the rest of it. I get that, and I'm not disputing that. But I think we've got to be very mindful is that we're not swinging the other way, where men are actually stepped on and stepped down, in their role of who they are in society as well. So, going back to that point, I think some of the dynamics in that relationship can start to become very difficult for a woman and a man because of some of those unhelpful, unconscious beliefs that men carry, really.
Well, this is going to be the last question of the day. Unfortunately, we got to our time together is done for this month, but this is a very, very complicated question, and I think maybe this is a question that we can even continue next month.
Yeah, go on.
Joel, let me ask you this. Do we need to continue to respect the roles of each other? Or do we need to look more at the situation and respect the situation we're in rather than respecting the roles? Because the roles are changing.
Absolutely. I think, if anything, I think it actually goes a deep level of why we turn up as we are, i.e., hence, what are the unconscious beliefs that we are carrying that may no longer serve us in the situations that we find ourselves in. Mm-hmm. And like you said, the roles change, and perhaps the dynamics we're talking about here in the US and UK might not actually be the same in the rest of the world. A lot of it is influenced by society's take on what is normality, and I use that loosely, and what is
you
reality.
Have to.
So again, big marks around both those words. So, and I think if anything, what it drills down to is, again, there's a whole piece in here around which we also run the risk into. There is this whole push for men and women to be equal. And I actually think it's a very dangerous rhetoric to push, because men and women will never be equal from the perspective that we are physically, biologically, and mentally different. Regardless, when you throw into the mix unconscious belief systems, there's lots of factual scientific evidence to show that. And I'm not here trying to cause controversy. I can only go off the facts of what I know from my perspective of a man and the conversation I have with women. What it's more about is actually coming to that place of awareness and understanding of each other, and how can we accommodate each other and respect each other in our differences. And that, for me, is different than being equal. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's all about that respect of each other's differences and how I can land. And, this gets into the whole thing about what is compromise. And people who think compromise is 50-50. Well, it's not. A compromise is not necessarily 50-50. It might be 60-40, it might be 20-80. But if both parties within that are happy and healthy in whatever that decision has been made, then that's all what matters. When there's nothing that can be seen as abusive, then if both parties are happy with that, then it's okay. But it might naturally see, as people from the outside see it as, well, it's not 50-50, so it's not compromising, it's not equal. But if both people in that relationship are happy and healthy and there's nothing abusive going on, then everyone's a winner from that. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, very much. Look, here's my thing. You may be able to, guys, bench press a freaking Volkswagen Bug, okay? But she can pop out a pup. Just saying, she wins. I don't give a damn. She wins. Joel, how did people get a hold of you, my friend?
I love it how you put things there. So how people get hold of me is literally what's on the bottom of the screen here. www.rewiredformen.com. Check out my website. You've got my email address. If you go on my website, on my little, which hand is it? On the QR code here as well. If you scan that, what you can do is you can download a free gift from me, which gives you a bit more insight into the classics where men find themselves either always running or going quietly numb, basically. You've also got what you put up there as well, Zach. You've got a load of information there on my community Pay It Forward partners page. If anything, what we say every month, we would love to have more feedback from people, questions, challenges. If you don't agree with what we're saying and it's a load of poo, please tell us and be willing to come on and tell us, because we want your input. We want your interaction. We want your questions. Go for it.
Yeah, and ladies, please, if there's something that you have a question about, or if there's a comment that we say that you're like going, you guys are a little off base, let us know. That's what we're here for. We're here to investigate. We're here to try to help. So, and there's no harm in a healthy discussion. None whatsoever. So, Joel, another great job, another great episode. I love this. I appreciate it. We will be back again sometime next month. We're going to continue to do this because, honestly, this is one of my favorite times, just because we're able to discuss a lot of things. But Joel, I greatly appreciate it, my friend. We will see you next month.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Zach.
All right.
What if your story could power a movement?
Bye, people.
Every struggle you have conquered becomes the answer someone else is still searching for. At Community Pay It Forward, your mission matters. When someone shops with one of our giving partners, they can choose to support you simply by uploading a receipt. Your story gets shared, you get visibility, and you can share our program to raise up to 90% in referral awards. You have a story worth sharing. We're here to help you tell it. Apply today by using the QR code or at communitypayitforward.us. Because your story deserves to be shared. And at Community Pay It Forward, no one needs to go it alone when we all come together.
Every car that rolls into your shop is more than just repair. It's someone's lifeline. Now, what if every repair could also be a lifeline for someone in need? When you join Community Pay It Forward, a portion of each job can help a family, veteran, or nonprofit without costing your customer anything extra.
With the Shop, Click, and Pick program, your shop keeps cars running. Let's keep communities running too. No one needs to go it alone when we all come together.
So I want to thank Joel for joining us again. Rewired for Men is one of our great giving partners. Look at this. The camera is actually working right because I'm actually using the right camera this time. Yeah, just saying. That helps a lot. So we do want to thank Joel White from Rewired for Men. Please visit them. Men, look, if you're having a little bit of self-doubt, if you're having a little bit of self-trial, it's not abnormal. Just as it's confusing, I would imagine, for women, as we grow, there are times that we're not quite as sure of ourselves as we used to be. When it's not bad. I mean, it's a sign that you're well, as long as it's done right, it's a sign that you're growing up. So, yeah, I do have a question for everyone, and this is something, as a podcaster, I wonder. I look at a lot of these podcasts, and the ones that are very, very popular. And I hope to God I'm never like these other podcasts. I don't ever want to be like them, because as far as I can see, there's always dissension. There's always mistrust and lies in a lot of them. So my question to you today is, are those the podcasts that you like? Or is there something else that you would like to see in a podcast? And the reason I ask this is because we are trying to build the pACT channel to be something special. I would like to hear from you, the podcast watchers. What are you looking for in a show that does not deal with deception, argument, divisiveness? We want to build shows that people enjoy watching and there's positivity in it. We all are disgusted with all the negativity, with everything. At least most of us are. Yet, like you, possibly like you, sorry, don't mean to generalize, but like most of you, I find myself at times completely addicted to shows that are negative. Do podcasts have to be negative for you to watch? Does there have to be a little bit of negativity for you to watch? And again, I only ask this because we are trying to build the pACT channel to be something very special. We want to build positivity. We want to build a place where people can go and share experiences with each other and try to support each other in their difficult journeys. For us to do this, we need your input. And I ask you to please send us your input. Help us. Join us. And you can do that by scanning this QR code right up in the corner. You can support us here. You can make sure that we're around, and you can become a sponsor of this show, of this channel, and you will get reward for it. So we really hope that we can make a positive life for people who are out there, no matter what their difficulty is. There is somebody out there who has experienced something very similar to what you've been through. Not identical, ever. Why? Because you're experiencing it, not them. Their lives are going to differ from yours. Maybe they've got a little more money than you had at the time. Maybe they've got a lot less money than you've had at the time. Maybe they've got the exact same amount of money that you've got, yet they've got one more child, or you've got one more child. Folks, maybe their favorite color is orange and yours is blue. Wow, I just realized I use two colors that I really don't like all that much. Except for royal blue, and that's for my Kansas City Royals, which, by the way, we will not be here next week because I will be in Kansas City. I get to meet my brother for my wife's brother, and she gets to be reintroduced to him. She has not talked to this individual for more than 2 decades, and I get to meet him for the first time. So I'm a little excited, a little nervous. I need to know if I should wear a tie or not when I meet him. I'm joking. I'm not worried about any of that. But we will be out of town, and so there will not be a show next week. I might end up playing a past episode, but I haven't decided yet. So, but I want to take a moment to thank, first and foremost, Things Network. Jebediah Jeremy York. Great look there, buddy. Not really. Don't do that. If anybody knows what I'm talking about, go and check out Jeremy York's new look. It's a little odd. A little odd. I'm joking, brother. If you like it, go with it. But you're a braver man than I. But to all my friends at Things Network, I appreciate your patronage. I appreciate everything that you guys do. I greatly appreciate your support from beginning till now. We are looking for people to help us in a project that's going to appear on February 22nd, which is our 22-hour podcast. We are going to read word for word without opinion, without distraction, and without any added controversy, the Constitution of the United States. Why? Because this is what the men and women who join the military vow allegiance to, is the Constitution. I want people who have never taken the time to read the Constitution. Maybe there's people out there who don't quite understand what's all in the Constitution. I believe I can safely say this is true because, again, I had no clue whatsoever, none, that George Washington was not a signer of the Declaration of Independence. I was shocked. Shocked, I tell you, when I found out he was not. I want to see what else I'm shocked about when it comes to the Constitution. So we're going to do this. But what I need people who are willing to sign up and read a section of the Constitution. Again, we will not allow anybody's political opinions to alter or to sway in either direction the Constitution. There will be no additions, no subtractions. It will be read, warts and all, as written. So I ask you to join us in doing that. And we're going to create something special. But my name is Zak Clayton, Community Pay It Forward, Community Dirty Care, and the pACT channels. I want to thank you for joining us this Monday morning on Footprints Forward. If you have a solution to someone's problem, if you have a story with mental stress, mental toughness that you would like to share with people, please get in contact with us, Zak at communitypayitforward.us. Zak, Z-A-K, at communitypayitforward.us. Come on, share your story. You never know when your story is going to lead to the life of someone else. Help them navigate the cold waters, the dark waters of mental illness. And until 2 weeks from now, I thank you very much. Please be safe out there. Please love somebody because somebody out here loves you. We will see you in 2 weeks. Thank you very much. Goodbye.